It's a great opportunity to be able to present what I would call an abstract of my findings. Hopefully the report will do more justice in terms of having more detailed information. So my study topic was to have an understanding around automation in horticulture, but most importantly in pack houses. As you would know, there's been lots of scholars that had already dealt with the orchard part of things. And the other part of it that I did, that I worked on, was to look at promoting career pathways in agriculture. Okay, I got the right one, the green one. Okay, my work was supported by William Buckland Foundation. And just a little bit about myself, especially people will be wondering where this accent is from. I'm originally from Nigeria, came to Australia in 1990. So really I've spent more of my years in Australia than I did in my birth country, but the accent is still there, which is okay. I came in here for my postgraduate, my master's and my PhD, and before I completed it, I met my husband here, which is amazing. We left all the way from Nigeria to meet here in Australia, so it's a good thing too. We're blessed with two boys, two adult boys. Now, professional career, my degree was in food technology, but I did my PhD in post-harvest, so which is part of produce. I work for Jeff Thompson, which is a vertically integrated apple and pear company based in Shepparton. We have full control of our supply chain. And the last 2 years, I thought to put my money where my mouth is. I've included internship with what we do in our business. So this year, we should be having our third set of University of Melbourne ARC students coming in to do internship with us. So I set out to look at the different types of automation equipment, justification and decision-making around what businesses would decide to uptake, the skill requirements in efficiently performing in those operations, and of course the strategic planning towards the workforce of the future workforce of the industry. I visited 31 businesses, 3 manufacturers, and 8 organizations. This is a few list of what is out there, the major ones. And my report will talk a little bit more about each of those ones. So most of these equipment are standalone, which means a business can decide to choose to uptake either 2 or more of it or go all the way. But the must-have for any business is a presizer. If you work in a packing facility, you would understand that when you have the field bean coming, it comes with different sizes and shape, and you need to have them graded to the customer specification. So it is a lot of job. So what the presizer does is it's more of an optical camera, a defect sorter through which every single fruit would go through, and they get analyzed for color, for size, for shape, and for other defects. This then makes it easier to have them ready for when they are needed to be packed. So for people who still have commit to pack program, which means they could have about 50 beans coming to the pack house. Your customer has requested for a particular size of fruit. You could pack as many as 50, 60, and still will not be able to meet your customer requirement. So when you have a system like this, you already have them beaned, it's in there in the cool room, and all that's needed is to bring them up onto the packing line when it's time to pack. So these are beans, and they are then stored in the cool room for when the planning program comes. Some businesses have been, they've made it enough to have a high bay warehouse, which is a fully automated storage chamber. And this virtually eliminates forklift from when you have the truck bringing the beans after harvest up until when you are dispatching. So to think of not having forklift within a packing facility is like, wow, this is a great thing to do. And this process works with it's a warehouse management system that works with production planning system. So you have it all in there, you have the orders of what is needed. The system will tell the planners, where exactly to go into in the warehouse to bring those beans down. You bring them to the line, you pack them, sweet. So when it comes to the packing line, you have the, I had to put that picture in there because I was quite surprised with the number of people on that line, especially coming from Australia, where this is in Italy. When you are coming from Australia, where in my business, we don't even have as much automation, and yet we'll not have that many people on the line. So it tells you that it's not just the equipment that is the main thing when it comes to business, it's other things too that the business is looking at when they are considering what they'll pick up on for automation. The robotic arm is this is virtually, you only need 3 people. So you have one person who is trying to put the fruit into the tray properly, so it goes into the chamber. The robotic arm picks it up, puts it in the tray, and it's ready to go. Now, this is a summary of the of packers' productivity. When you're in a packing business, you want to make sure that you have a high value for your productivity. So the last column, if you can see it, but if you can't, I'll just summarize what's there. It talks about productivity, and it's the amount of fruit that is packed per man hour. So in this case, let me just say for an apple, we're looking at the number of the kilogram of fruit packed per man hour. The higher your number is, the better your efficiency is, and that's what everyone will be aiming towards. Businesses that have commit to pack, which is when you bring everything in and you're packing as you go, sometimes you end up with those sizes that you really don't need. So that means you then have to think of storing them for when you have orders for them. Unfortunately, sometimes you might not have an order early enough that you then have to repack them. So the productivity for those ones are quite low when you compare that with the other ones. Now, for businesses with pre-sizer, which I say it's a must for any business to have, you could have as almost double what you would have with a commit to pack line. Except for a company which is rice fruit, which I would talk later why they tend to have a number that you would expect them to have something better than that, especially for the fact that they have pre-sizer. Now, those businesses that have invested into things like high bay, they are the ones that would have close to 1,000 or more when it comes to productivity efficiency. While it's a bit, it would not be justifiable to say I would compare the figures of all these different companies and say which one is doing better, because you have different types of management within a business. You have some that would have a reason why they don't want to run their lines efficiently. So, but for me, it was so good I was able to get a particular company, which was First Fruit. They are based in Washington State, USA. And they have 3 levels of automation. So automatically, when you look at the different efficiencies, productivity that they've got in each of those shades, that in each of those packing hall, then you can easily say, well, definitely the more you have, the better figure you're getting. Now, First Fruit decided to have these 3 levels. The blue one represents the core value of the business, which is community. They believe that their first commitment is to the community before productivity, before profit. So what they have done is they still decided to have that particular hall where it's commit to pack, not much automation in that place, in that particular hall, and then step it up to the next level for the silver hall, and then next level for the red hall. So with that, I was able to say, well, this is a business where everything is the same. How they want to run their their operation is the same. Their management system is the same. Then that means that there is a difference, definitely, based on the level of automation that you've got. So when it comes to the skill part of things, because now I know what the equipment are, what's the requirement? The 3 manufacturers that I spoke with, what they kept emphasizing was the technology is based on a turnkey concept. In other words, once you have your initial parameters set in the equipment, there's very little adjustment required. So the expectation is that you have technicians that will be skilled in mechanics, or electronics, IT, production planning. So I thought, well, let me see what is out there and what those who are already doing it, what their own skill level is like. So when I went to those companies that I visited, they said, yes, their machine operators are expected to run the line. They're also expected to maintain the line. And then I started wondering, how do you get them to that level? Because normally we say that in our industry, it's a very low skilled. So the three key words that they kept reinforcing was recruiting, release, and reskill. For recruits, you can recruit someone for a new role. You get immediate reward for it, but the consequence for that is they will still need time to get used to your culture. They will need time to organize, to understand your organization. So even though you've got them in, they've come in with a skill, but you still have to consider the cost of them adjusting to your business. And it's so quick for us to, as in businesses, want to have people to replace or to take up a new role. Then you want to release some of those ones that you think you don't need. And as soon as you release them, you're also releasing the culture of your business. What a few of them are done well is reskilling. And how they do this is they don't have immediate reward for it, but because they are reskilling operators that are already working with them, they can target those that they would train in specific things. And in that way, they still have the culture of a business still being there while those ones are upskilling. The other good thing about the reskill is you have the mentoring program within the company where the soft skill that is required for this mechanic, because a lot of them went into trade school or whatever it was they did, and all they can do is how to put those equipments together, and the soft skill is missing. Now you are putting them in a new role where they then have to deal with people, so that soft skill is very important. So when you have that opportunity to have them trained within the business, then you'll be able to have that mentoring program. Now these are words that a few of the people that I visited said that they believe in building team rather than recruiting one. They can say this well. They watch for potentials and then build them up. They invest on human capital because they know that they're going to get resources out from it. And the way they have been able to do this is to have training organizations through which their staffs can go through formal training and also work with the machine manufacturers, and the in-house training is a key one. Now, while this is going to take care of immediate situation or immediate skill positioning that we want to put ourselves, I thought, what of the future of the industry? Now, not just looking at the horticulture, but the whole future of agriculture. Before my studies, I did a survey with 400 secondary school year 10 students in Shepparton. Now, this is a rural area, this is a community area where it's all about agriculture. And this is a word cloud that I got put together in what they came back with. Now, farmer, as you would expect, came out up there really loud, which is okay. But at the same time, you have some beeps. You have the vets, you have the horticulturists, you have the engineers. So those kids are still aware of those things. So the challenge for us as an industry is, how do we make those beeps loud enough? And what I found with the North American, that's US and Canada, is a collaboration of stakeholders, the four main ones. And that's the industry sector, which is businesses, the industry bodies, the ag education organization, and the youth development organization. So they all come together to promote these career pathways in agriculture. So my take home for you, future of the industry is definitely in automation. It is good to understand what your aspiration is as a business, and that will determine how much automation you want to put in. The cost is not just the machine, but also include indirect cost. There has to be a gap analysis of your skill level within the organization. In that way, you will know where you need more training. And Australia being a unionized country, there are times when we need to work with the union because things would change. People would say, well, all our signing for was 6 to 2 p.m. But there are times when it comes to skilling and all the other things they would do. So it would be good with businesses to be able to have that talk with the union of how things will change the moment we start going into more automation. And of course, there has to be collaborative effort of industry stakeholders to create and increase awareness of career opportunities in the industry. So what next for me? Since I finished, well, not since I finished, well before I finished, while my company is still waiting to have that state-of-the-art equipment, facility, which I'm hoping we should get in the next year or two, we started putting a few things in place. We've got 4 of our employees who are company-supported for their formal training. In the area of awareness, I've been able to work with a local organization, a community within our area, where we had a showcase of the organization I work for. I tend to use business. I don't own it, but I work there. So we had a showcase of our business where we showed secondary school kids, again, year 10, what we do and the opportunities they have in agriculture. Now, this is not all about Jeff Thompson that I work for. It's about the industry. And these are people who we want to create interest in them. So that's the way I've been working with them. And for those who have already made up that decision, those who are already studying ag, you don't want them to lose those interests. So at the same time, I work with students in Melbourne Uni. I've been able to take up a few courses in their human resources for the Masters in Agri students to let them know the opportunities that are there in agriculture as a sector. Well, maybe I should say food and fiber, because that sounds, it shows that it's all of us all together. So I've been doing that work with them to be able to maintain their interest. And it's a very good opportunity for us in Shepparton at the moment where I'm based. There's this concept of having a super school in which all the 4 public schools are being put together, merged into a big school. And a group that I work with, which is the Greater Shepparton Lighthouse, has decided that it would be very important for them to have influence in the curriculum of the new school. Because like Amy was saying in the morning, you need to get these kids early as you can. You have programs for the primary school, you also have for the secondary school. Now, a geography teacher should be able to link a topic within water or whatever, and still link it to agriculture. A history student can do exactly the same thing. So when you create this awareness in the industry, within the secondary school, we're hoping that then you would have more people, because we, as a farmer, we need that expansion. And for someone like me, who my degree was in food technology, but here I am sitting with farmers. So in other words, there's that extension which is required. And hopefully if we can get more of these kids in, it will be great. Quick appreciation to Nuffield, who saw the potential and gave me the opportunity. My sponsor, William Buckland Foundation, who continues to support the work of Nuffield. The various businesses and organizations that open their doors to tell me what they do. My employer, Jeffrey Thompson, who gave me the time off, and especially my managing director, Gary Parker, because it's not easy when you have all these ideas and you don't own a business, but he's been able to allow me to implement some of the studies that I came with. My family, Vincent and my boys, thank you. And without life and good health, I wouldn't have been able to complete this. So I acknowledge and I thank the creator of my life and the one that sustains me. Thank you.